Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Today, boy oh boy, have we got a wonderful panel for you guys. We're going to be talking Chanel, leather, or pleather. Ha! Well, we're going to figure all that out together today. A little rhyme, leather, pleather. Listen, before we get to our wonderful panelists who are super professional when it comes to luxury, when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to Chanel and other luxury brands, before we get to all that, subscribe to my channel here on the tubes, push the join button next to the subscription button, become a member today, gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob, all spelled together, for extra perks there as well. Thank you to all my members and patrons who have already pledged. This video is being filmed live in front of a live virtual audience, which means that we have our co-chatters in the chat section chatting away as the panel progresses. You can join me every Saturday on my live streams and partake in the live chat. So thank you to all my co-chatters for being there. Now let's introduce my wonderful panelists. Here goes. I would love to say hello to Quirky, to Jessie, to Jocelyn. So you guys, wonderful 3 YouTubers. I will post links to their YouTube channels in the description box down below. So Quirky is from Classics with a Quirk. Jessie is from Jessiestyle, and Jocelyn is from therealshakeen. All 3 YouTube channels will be posted down below. Be sure to subscribe to their channels and send them some love. Ladies, introduce yourselves. Let's start with Quirky.
Hi, I'm Quirky from Classics with a Quirk. Hello, nice to see you all today.
Welcome, dear. Jessie?
Hi, I'm Jessie. My channel's Jessiestyle. I'm so happy to be in the panel today. It's an honor, so I'm really looking forward to it.
And Jocelyn.
Hi everyone, my name is Jocelyn and I'm from therealshakeen and I am happy to throw some shade today.
Oh, yes! Love it. It's like your guys, you know, it's like, oh, yes, the glasses are there. It's like that TV show, you know, like, what's that TV show called, Quirky, where they, where people come and they show like their obsessions, like the girl that eats nail polish and the one that's obsessed with eating furniture. Oh, My Strange Addiction.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This is us, you guys. We got an addiction. We love luxury bags.
It's a toxic relationship.
Oh my God, is it ever? It totally is. Listen, Quirky, I just wanted to start with you because obviously you guys, if you have not seen Classics with Our Quirks 2 video, well, actually 3, because a couple of months ago, she made a wonderful video on leathers and bags, but then there's an updated version for, in particular, the 22 bag leather and the concerning issues that she found out about Chanel leathers as of late. And then the follow-up video to that, you should definitely go check out all of those videos. And then the new ones that she's going to make too. Please, Quirky, tell us, what are your conclusions thus far about this investigation that you've been doing with Chanel leather? Is it leather with these new bags? Is it pleather? Are the bags coated with cheap plastic, or is it real good color? What's going down?
Oh boy. Well, first of all, everything is allegedly today, obviously. I can't make any definite claims or conclusions because I actually don't have a 22 bag. I've just been looking at pictures on the internet with magnifying glass. So everything is allegedly today. But I can say with pretty certainty that whatever the bag is made of, the paint that was used, and it was most likely paint and not dye, the paint that was used was bonded improperly to the material that the bag is made of. So regardless of what the bag is constructed of, the paint was not bonded correctly, and that is leading to a lot of rubbing, peeling, color leakage in general. That is a sign of incredibly poor quality and very a lot of corner cutting in regards to construction as a whole.
Would you, obviously, Quirky is correct. Everything we say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, just our opinions. Not rooted in facts. We're just sharing our opinions, our experiences, so everything's alleged. But would you recommend people, you know, because I know that you also have from Spring Summer 22, a mini 255 reissue in that gorgeous coral pink, which, I mean, you've stated you also are fearing for the quality of that one when it comes to how it was coated, when it comes to how tightly it was stitched together as well.
Yes. So in the video one of the videos that I talked about, I mentioned the stitches of the bag itself, that the stitching is very, very tight and it looks like the leather is pulling and to a point ripping. It's quite concerning, actually. And I am not certain what to do about it. Like, I've actually considered contacting Chanel and being like, what do you suggest? Because look at it. It's pretty unmistakable that there's something going on with the make and construction of the bag. And in terms of the color, the top coat of the color is pink. It's the beautiful coral pink, like you said. But underneath, in the stitches that are showing material underneath, there is white, which leads me to believe that either the material was first of all, it was definitely coated on top, which means that it was either painted and a very thin layer of paint was placed down on white, hopefully leather, or it was dyed very poorly in a very fast manner, and I talk about this a little bit more in the second most recent video I did called What is the Chanel 22 Really Made Of, I think. And I have an example of leather being improperly and very cheaply and quickly dyed. And it involves just a very, very thin layer of color pigments on top and on the bottom of the leather, which also is kind of what my reissue looks like.
So it's concerning.
Yes, very much so. I worry about the integrity of the bag.
And the integrity of the brand. Could you imagine if we all lose faith that they can deliver good quality luxury goods?
Yeah, I'm not certain as to what direction Chanel is trying to go in when it comes to making, like, for instance, with just the 22, a bag that seems to not have been completely thought through in terms of design. Like, we've all discussed, regardless of just like the materials and the craftsmanship, but the make of the bag is not the best, most thought out. Like it's a drawstring leather bag, supposedly, and the chains that draw it don't have grommets to prevent the leather and metal from rubbing on the opening of the drawstring area. That's a bit of a design problem, and clearly was let through in the manufacturer process. Like, a lot of people had to say yes to that particular design element before it could be made into a bag and sold to other people. And that I question why these choices keep being made, because obviously, I mean, there's so many people having issues with this particular bag that something has to have been done, at least with the construction of it in particular. And so I wonder why they made these choices for the 22 bag, which is the next it bag that Chanel is trying to even create. Like, this is the current face of Chanel. This is what all the brand is talking about. And this is the bag they chose to put in front of people and sell as their current it piece. Something like that has so many problems that seem to have not, like, it shouldn't have made it past R&D.
Yeah, and that's actually an interesting point, because this brings me over to Jessie. Jessie, you broke the news on YouTube about the discontinuation of the Gabrielle bag. Now, Quirky was just talking about the 22 being, the next it bag by Chanel. And we've all noticed that since they introduced the 22, they placed the 22 in their slot of the top 5 Chanel bags. First being the Timeless Classic, then the 255 reissue, then we got the 19 bag, the boy bag, and now the 22 bag has taken the slot of the Gabrielle being discontinued. And Jessie delivered the news already like a month ago, the first one to deliver the news on YouTube. And I have a question for you. Do you think that the true reason why they're discontinuing the Gabrielle bag is because technically the Gabrielle bag is harder to make? It's a relatively complex construction for a bag, that they've discontinued it to save money because, look, the 19 bag is much easier to make than the Gabrielle, and the 22 bag is even easier to make. Do you think there's like a little conspiracy going on there?
I think, well, if you look at the Chanel 22 backpack, it's pretty simple. Like, I don't know. Well, I used to sew, but I've never made a leather bag. But I can see that the construction of the backpack is just a sack. But then if you look at the Gabrielle backpack, it has like this hard base. It has just more details to it. And it's $2,000 less than the 22 backpack. So I feel like there's probably more effort put into the Gabrielle backpack in terms of manufacturing and time. well, why would you have that as part of the permanent collection with the 22? Like, it's just, why would you go for the 22 backpack when you can go for the Gabrielle, which is also a bucket sack? It's just, I think they're too similar, so they probably just decided to diss the whole line. And also, it's interesting to know for the future, maybe with Chanel, they'll only have 5 permanent bags at any given time. So if we see another permanent bag come in, perhaps they're going to delete another bag. So it's something to know as well.
5 is
Yeah, that's why I
number.
was surprised. What? Sorry, Quirky?
Oh,
What?
I said 5 is Chanel's number, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is Chanel's number. But then people have been asking me, like, but Dacob, what's up with the Coco handle, like, for example, or like, why isn't that in their top 5 lineup? Because it's so popular.
I would say maybe the design is not unique enough to be a permanent bag, whereas the Coco handle's kind of just a flap. Same with the Trendy CC, but it has a handle on top. But then if you look at like the Gabrielle and then like that 19, they're very different. Like we've got the 90 trunky hardware and stuff. But maybe the 22 and the Gabrielle, in terms of the backpacks, they're too similar. Maybe. But then again, the Hobo with all the chains is very, I don't know. But then again, it's not as popular anymore either. So maybe that's why they've started to phase it out a little bit. I don't know.
Well,
And what is your opinion on the current state of quality of Chanel leather?
Well, I think it's hit and miss. Like, you will see some things come in and it's totally fine, obviously. Like, Chanel wouldn't still be, churning out this many bags. They didn't have some amazing pieces in their collections. But sometimes with some seasonal pieces, some colors, the leather might be, different, and sometimes even the quality of the threads, like sometimes the threads can be like fraying, and sometimes the hardware might be a bit strange on some seasonal bags. It's just it's unpredictable, basically. Like we don't know. Not all Chanel bags, I don't believe, in 2022 are rubbish, but it is unpredictable what you're going to get sometimes. So I would say, a lot of designer brands these days, you should check what you're getting, because there are mistakes made. So you just have to check, keep an eye out when you buy a bag, if it's wearing well and that sort of thing. But yeah, I would say for me, I've noticed probably the last year there is like problems with the leather, more so than I've seen before. And the prices are more expensive as well, which is even worse. So yeah.
And now I want to jump over to Jasleen because the Real Shakeen is of us 4 is the only one who actually has the 22 bag in a size medium. Now I've returned mine. I bought the 2022 Métier d'Art fuchsia, or dark pink as they want to call it, in a size medium, and it started peeling. You could check out the series of videos that I made on that particular disaster on my channel, but I no longer have the bag. I have returned mine since purchasing it, and since it started peeling 20 minutes in after wearing it, and I have received a refund. So I'm just telling you, if you're experiencing issues with yours, go to Chanel and don't just easily accept, oh, let's try to fix your bag for you. Ask for a refund if the mistake in production is on their end. But Jasleen has a 22 bag.
Yep.
From the first batch, from the Spring-Summer 2022 collection, the Coral Pink. Tell us about it, Jasleen. How are you experiencing it? And how often have you used it?
So I've used it a handful of times when I was on vacation. So when I bought it, it was in, I think, April. It was, I'm in Canada, so it wasn't as like sunny and warm. And this to me is like a sunny summer bag, the combination at least. And I used it when I was away in Hawaii, just a couple of, literally like many weeks ago. And I've probably used it about a handful of times, maybe 5 times at the max. And I basically put minimal items in. I didn't overload the bag. I took it with me to the spa. Put like a couple of items in there. Nothing major. I don't anticipate it being something that is, super heavy and I'm going to overload this thing. This is meant to, because if you overload it, it's going to be quite overwhelming with like the chains on your shoulder. So, you know, and it's a leather bag, and I want it to be kind of like slouchy. And I did an update video because when Dacob had sent me photos, and I was like, I need to check my bag. And I did notice in that video, it wasn't as bad. It wasn't so much like at the front is perfect. This whole, you know, the tubular bit where the chains are sliding through, because this is one loop of a chain that you can, you know, continuously pull through. I mean, I wouldn't do it because of the medallion on the front strap, but this one for sure. And I didn't scrunch it up too much. I didn't leave it through as much, you know, just minimally. And I do have a little bit of wear, very tiny bit, on the back portions here. And it looks as though the color is removed, or it's kind of, you know, for those of you who paint your nails and you apply nail polish, and you know how you're supposed to do like thin coats. I'm not saying this is how you're supposed to paint leather. I'm using this analogy. So you apply thin coats, you let the coat dry completely, and then you put another coat on top. You let it dry completely, and then you put your top coat on top. And you know, if you know, do it in a hurry, and then the top kind of cures and the bottom hasn't cured, and you know, if you kind of nick it, it kind of wrinkles off. Do you guys know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Exactly.
And that's why I use my Amazon gel polish, because I don't have patience or time for that. but anyway, that's what it looks like. It's very small, but I did take photos. I sent it to you, Dacob, and I sent it to Quirky, and I also included them in my video so people can see. Now, we did anticipate at the beginning when this bag came out, well, will it rub here? And, you know, I thought about that, and as Quirky mentioned, well, there should have been more thought put into the design of this bag. And I agree completely with Jessie with the fact that this is cheaper to make. I recognize this is overpriced for what it is. Yes, it's lined up beautifully. The lining and everything there's a lot more thought than we give it credit for, but there's not enough to the construction of this bag that justifies the price point. Absolutely. Okay. And I agree with Jessie that this is going to replace the Gabrielle, because there's so much more to that bag with the chains and the hardware and the extra CC that's hanging off. So much more work to make that bag than this, because you're aligning a hard base with the soft, smushy leather on top. There's a lot more thought to make that. So my thing is that there are bags from Chanel that have a similar, you know, chain that goes through a tube. Wallet on chain, for example, right? That chain you pull through repeatedly. I don't have peeling on that. I also have this bag. This is a bag from spring, summer 2019. Okay. So this is a sequin flap. Okay, it's a seasonal flap. And inside, you know, similar tube here, and this goes through. There's no wear on the leather, right? So, and Dacob, I sent you some photos. Apparently, Hermes is following suit with this drawstring bag. It's called the, what is it called? The Bridado backpack.
Yes, Jessie sent it to me also. Yeah.
I'm like,
the alternative to the 22.
Yeah, like, guess what Hermes is? And it's cheaper, by the way, than the Chanel 22.
But it's not lined. It's not lined.
It's not lined, but still, you get the look, right?
Yeah.
It turns into a backpack. It's kind of cool. I mean, I'd like to see this in person. There's a beautiful yellow color that's available. It retails for $47.50 Canadian, and my 22 retails for $65.50 Canadian.
Wow.
And plus tax.
Oh my God, you guys.
13%
tax, baby.
13%, baby. Oh my God.
Where I am. So, yeah, plus tax. But, you know, they also have a drawstring design, okay? And there's straps going through. So, you know, yeah, you can maybe say, okay, there's a chain going through the bag, but you have other bags where that doesn't happen. And there are other bags by other designers where that really shouldn't happen. So my wear is very small. I did send pictures to my sales associate, and she's absolutely lovely. And she said, you know, she's new to the company. She's been there for, I think, about like 2 years maybe. And the sales associates aren't briefed on leathers. They don't know, unless they've been with the company for a really long time and have had a lot of experience with seeing these bags wear and etc. You know, they send it to repairs for an assessment. So she did tell me, I've sent these photos off to repair, and I'll let you know what they say. So my wear is not nearly as bad as the photos that I've just seen. Dacob, I was tuned into what you were live earlier with when you were filming that update, and amazing that you got that full refund. Good on you, because, you know, at first we were like, okay, do you get a store credit? What do you get with the store credit? But, you know, in where I am, we don't get full refunds either. Like in Canada, it kind of follows the same return policy as Europe. The US is a different beast altogether, where you can get a full refund within a certain period. And here it's 14 days exchange or store credit. And with the store credit, you know, again, you're losing value on the store credit because you want to have a replacement, right? Like at that point, because that value can really plummet over time with all these price increases. But you showed some pretty devastating photos of like peeling. It looks like really cheap pleather, and there's color flaking off. That is unacceptable. And just because mine has not worn as badly, it still shouldn't happen, period. It shouldn't happen, especially for a bag that is, you know, very new. You know, yeah, and like you said, wear and tear. Yes, wear and tear can happen over years, but not on a new bag. You expect to get a new bag at this price point. Well, actually, any price point. Any new item you get should be in pristine condition, right?
Yeah, of course.
Any
if it's brand
bag,
new from this,
it's a $200 bag. It should be in good condition, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the wear and tear is a different story altogether. How you use the bag. I had somebody comment on one of my videos, and she gave her experience. She's Canadian as well, and I'll read her comment to you guys. And she said, I bought my metallic Chanel 22 at the Vancouver shop. After 2 to 3 uses, the leather in the leather loop started to crack. I called the same Chanel store to ask about it, and they immediately accused me of misusing the bag. They said the leather cracked because you carried heavy things inside the bag. And this is what she was like. I only put a 500 milliliter water bottle and a light windbreaker. If that's too heavy, then your bag is not designed to be used. They then told me we will send your bag off for inspection and will take 2 months. I told them to F off. I will take it to the USA and see if I get the same response. Vancouver Chanel store, never go again. And, you know, going back to Romina's experience, she did a video, I think she just posted it this morning, and she was dismissed many times. And I commented, I'm like, Romina, please don't settle, right? And I feel like very popular stores like in London and Vancouver, right? Like it's very competitive. I feel like because they feel they can sell to anybody, that they don't care for the customer. So yeah, if any of you are getting that, if you're getting wear and damage, like do not settle. Unacceptable, period.
This is a really good point about the fact that, and you guys, I'm sure all of us, well, maybe all 4 of us, I think maybe all 4 of maybe Jessie didn't experience this, but at least the 3 of us must have experienced at least once that when they try to blame the customer for whatever flaw their product has, like guilting you into thinking it's your, do you know what I mean? Like, because Justine, like your friend said, like immediately they started guilting her into, yeah, you misused the bag. You stuffed the bag. You don't know how to use the bag properly. That's happened to me as well. And it's so irritating when they pull that card on you. And I think it's a strategic card that they pull because they think like, Yeah, they guilt you into submission.
Now, wait
basically.
a minute. In the commercials, a woman uses it as a literal sleeping bag. The ad?
Oh, yeah.
You guys have commercials. We don't have commercials.
No, it's the advertisement with the actresses, right?
The ad that was going around like on Instagram and stuff.
Oh,
yeah. They were
strange art camping adventure, and she uses it as like an actual sleeping bag. It's very large, and she's outside in the woods or in the desert. I think the desert, using it as a sleeping bag. So there's a really large one out there that apparently was good for that camping.
Yeah.
I mean, she has a backpack, and then in that short film, then she also has the normal bag. Like, she has them in different colors. She's living her best life in the desert. She uses it as a pillow as well. Like, she leans on it, and I'm like, yeah, right. If I leaned on the 22 that I returned, if I slept on it, I would have woken up with a pink attached to my cheek.
And it's like slapped on, and you'll just peel the bag off.
Yeah, you peel it off. We might or might not have been hacked.
You know,
Dacob, you have a hat made of tin, don't you?
We should all put one on.
start like saying,
Yeah, the tin foil hat, conspiracy hats.
yeah. Okay, we're online. Sorry,
Yeah,
everyone.
looks like we're back.
Yeah.
So Quirky was just saying, when we kind of went offline and we had our secret meeting when the internet was on, Quirky was saying something really interesting about guilting into submission.
A little bit. And in general, with the 22, I've noticed from everybody that I've seen or talked to, you've talked to, it seems like this mass, like company-wide thing to like sweep it under the rug as best as they can. Like, they're hoping that people don't talk in the age of the internet and social media, I guess. Not really sure what they're expecting from that, but it's not what's happening.
I mean, they need... Yeah, Jessie, say, yeah.
I feel like it will be interesting to see if a lot of people do raise the issue to the boutiques about the 22, the problems out there. Because we're seeing a lot of people sending through their images and stuff. If it does become a more prevalent issue, then they might need to get trained on how to deal with it, because I think a lot of brands, they just kind of train their staff to avoid refunds and that sort of thing. Whereas depending where you work, some brands will be like, look, customer needs to be happy, even if it's not a problem, we just need to make them happy and accept it, kind of thing. But I think at Chanel, they're not as loose as that. They'll do everything you can to avoid a refund or an exchange or any cost. So they've kind of just been trained like that. But if they were trained to, take on board any kind of issue, like any little scuff, and not palm it off as wear and tear, then they would probably be more accommodating. But it's just, how they're trained. So it's not necessarily the problem of the staff. It's just how to deal with these situations. There probably needs to be more communication on what they should be doing in that sort of scenario. Because usually you will get people coming in who will be, might have a bag for 10 years and say, oh, it's got a big scuff here, what the hell, like, it's a Chanel bag. And that's probably a bit unreasonable because they've had it for so long. So they would experience getting these unreasonable customers as well, and just palm it off as wear and tear. But at what point is it,
Oh, no, I was talking specifically about the 22, like the specific reactions that people have been having in regards to 22 damage, especially like Jesseline said, damage that's happening so quickly, like Romina's experience, Dacob's experience. The people, when they talk about their essays or any essay they deal with in regards to the 22 Vickley, this new bag that hasn't had time to have actual issues with it, supposedly. Like with Jeseline's friend, that there seems to be this just this thought behind really putting it, like Dacob said, onto the client, onto the person, like blaming them for misusing the bag in a very short amount of time to cause this ridiculous amount of wear. That's more what I meant, not
yeah. And it really, you really have to, in any realm, whether retail or healthcare or anything, you really have to sometimes push and advocate for yourself. And the thing is that this will become recognized when you get through to repairs. So if repairs sees enough of these photos, that can then stimulate a move towards corporate or combined with corporate. Okay, hey, we actually have an issue, because you got to get to repairs first. Now, sometimes, and Jessie, you've worked retail, and I've worked retail as well. Sometimes there are people that just don't want to bother. They don't want to bother with the headache. They don't want to do the paperwork. They don't want to have to like deal with, oh my God, I got to contact repairs and I got to Dacob, is there the fly?
Yeah, I'm hunting.
Anyway, they just don't want to, it's just an added headache, right? You just want to have it go smoothly, make the sale, cash people out. You don't want to do anything complicated, right? Mm. So if you really have to push to get to repairs, be like, I need this to be assessed by repairs. Do not do it as soon as possible. If you want to go to a boutique, and if the card that always works is, okay, if you don't want to listen to my concern, I'm going to contact corporate. That will light their ass on fire. Pardon my French. When you mention corporate, then, because this happened with like a situation with another design house, then the manager will call you because they don't want to get in trouble. So what you need to do is you need to get through to repairs. Anybody who's experiencing issues, and there's a lot of people who are on social media, and there's people probably out there using their 22 with nonchalant and don't even know, okay? But if enough people bring these issues to repairs will then start getting these photos from all over, and then it'll become like, okay, like we're seeing this multiple times. Maybe we should consider doing like a collective repair.
Well, no, we should recall the entire bag and do them all over again.
Yeah.
It's similar to like the Pochette Matisse or the Palm Springs Mini, how they had the similar issues across the board. And then after a while, it got back to the company that they need to recall these bags, or the staff were trained, anyone who brings in a Pochette Matisse, you can give them store credit. Like that was the training they put in place with the staff, and that they knew how to deal with that situation. But maybe in the past they wouldn't have known how to deal with that situation. They thought palm it off as wear and tear, but it's just they didn't realize, because not all people who work in retail follow the internet or like the current trends or what's going on. They might even understand handbags, to be honest. So I think it all goes down to having the conversation of being aware of the issues that we're finding with the 22, and then working out a solution like across the board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my problem is this, you guys. Like, this is how much do I allow myself to believe that this is an honest mistake that they've done, and how much am I instead thinking that they just really wanted to cheap out on us, make some ratchet old quality bags and charge a kidney, an eyeball, and half a heart for it, and then like laugh all the way to the bank? Because, say it, Quirky.
Well, I to address what you said, like that we're seeing most of the issues right now in the 22, in part because that's the bag that everybody has. It's new, it's coming out. But like we mentioned before with my pink reissue from 22P, I bought that bag in February, and it clearly has some construction issues to it. I couldn't return that now. I couldn't get it. And it's not something that can be repaired because it's an issue with the leather itself and the stitches that make up the bag. So if I wanted to even talk to Chanel about this other item that has clear craftsmanship problems, what recourse do I have? What recourse does anybody have? Is that another contact corporate situation, or like what do we do?
Well, I guess Jocelyn would write a letter, but you know the movie White Chicks. Has anybody seen White Chicks? You've never seen White Chicks, Dacob?
No, I've not.
Has any of our co-chatters seen White Chicks?
I haven't.
My God. Okay.
Oh, Jessie, you have. Yay!
For any of the co-chatters, it's just like, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. I've already sworn on that. She's like, I'm going to have a beef-it. I'm going to write a letter.
The chat has watched White Chicks. Jessica, Bonky Key, Maria B, Pickle Mar. Yeah, they've seen it. The chat is lit.
You're gonna need a wheelchair.
But you guys, seriously though, I mean, it's all fun and games, but it's not, because it's our money at stake here. But what Quirky was saying, very, very interesting point, Quirky. Your 255 mini. Now, I can tell you this. Chanel does their 9 collections a year, or 10 now, because now they do their Coco Neige, and then they also do Coco Beach. It's like 10 collections a year with haute couture. It's insane. But, I understand with seasonal pieces, and they don't have the time to actually really teach the people in the factory to make the new pieces, to get to know how to do them. And I can see like, hey, the first batches are a little hit and miss. Same thing applies to Apple when they release the new Macs. It's all, the first batch is always like, don't buy the first batch. Wait till they fix all the issues and then buy the second batch, right? But, and I could say, okay, fine, the 22 was a great experiment. Epic fail, fix it. But what I cannot forgive is 50 years of producing the reissue. And now Quirky buys a new reissue. So they got 50 years time to figure out how to frickin' put together a reissue. And mind you, Quirky's reissue is a mini, single flap. They didn't even have to bother to do the double flap. It's even simpler. So they got 50 years time in their factories to figure out, because that one is made in France, Quirky, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's made, allegedly, in the Chanel factory outside of Paris, their own factory, owned by them. And what, after 50 years, you can't figure out how to put together a 255? No, that's not forgivable. So this is what I want to say. When you go back to the boutique and you're like, hey, this bag has issue, and they're like, oh, well, but they're made by hand in part. I'm like, yeah. You had 50 years time to figure it out. So if the 255 has issues in the construction, the only reason, well, there's 2 reasons, what I think can be 2 possible reasons why this happened. One, because now they got their 10 collections a year, so the artisans or the factory workers literally don't have the time to actually really produce these bags. Maybe they had 5 hours per bag. Now Chanel tells them, well, now you get only 1 hour, boo-boo. Hurry up. So, because they're overproducing again. Or 2, second option, which is, I don't know if it's worse than the first, but that is sourcing out the production somewhere else and then just putting the stamp made in, in their own factories. Because, and again, I can forgive them for I shouldn't forgive them. I'm crazy, so I did forgive them for the flaws of the heart bag. My wallet on chain heart bag made in France has the wonkiest stitches I have ever seen in my life. I, who have never stitched leather, could have stitched that bag better. But I'm like, they never did the hard bags like this before. Maybe they got some newbies in to do it, and they're trying their best. Unacceptable, but I accepted it. But a 255, you had 50 years time. What gives? So I digress. Who's next?
I feel like it could be a matter of they need to produce more bags, and so there's more people producing the bags, whereas back in the day there was probably less craftspeople and they were more highly trained because they had more time to train. So now you're probably getting in more people who are haven't trained for as long, and so perhaps their skills are not yet up to scratch, but they're kind of being forced to produce these bags, and maybe they can't stitch properly yet, or they can't align the flap properly yet. Like it takes many years to perfect an art, like making a classic flap or a reissue, or it's not simple. That's why they're so expensive. But
it's an interesting point, Jessie. It's an interesting point because of that really bizarre so-called masterclass that Bruno Pavlovsky, one of the heads of Chanel, gave in Florence just a week ago, and then a subsequent interview. I want to say maybe the only really interesting point he said was the number he gave us. He said in his interview that 80% of the Chanel workers, whether they be in design or in their factories, 80% are newly hired people. Only 20% are the original workers that actually know how to do it. Now, so what are the chances that you go to a Chanel boutique and that your bag is made by the 80% or by the 20%?
Well, they probably have, yeah. I mean, that's really eye-opening. I didn't know that. They probably have one person herding 20 new people and taking them under their wing and supervising them. But, you know, that's really hard to do. Like, you know, you can supervise 1 or 2 people closely, but 20 people, it's probably something like that.
I'm sorry,
yeah,
please finish.
Yeah, well, the question was more, it's not just the craftsmanship, but like the concern about like leather. Is this even leather, right? So it's the crafting, right? The art of putting the bag together and stitching it and looking at, just like Jessie had said, the quality of the threads, right? The maintenance on the machines, right? The sewing machines, like, are they, the tension, is it right? Are they being looked after? Because that's a thing too, right? But then also looking at like the raw materials, right? And with the 22, okay, the peeling, fine. But then what's underneath, then we're concerned about whether or not this is even leather. And then it makes you doubt, well, what about everything else that isn't peeling? Is that good leather? Or is it, you know, so there's just so many questions that you have. And when something like this happens, it really makes you sort of lose faith in the brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see if in the coming years, as the people practice more on how to make the bags, maybe they'll become better quality again.
Yeah, and then by then it'll be like 20K instead of 10K.
Yeah.
Well, Dacob, didn't you show a cobbler a picture of your damage?
Yes, the cobbler was appalled. The cobbler said, but this cannot be leather.
Wow.
This is the cheapest quality composite or bound, plus the cheapest quality top coat in some very, very, very poorly done synthetic top coat. Beautiful color, but you know, you blow on it and the thing pops. So it's like, and he didn't even see that it was Chanel because I showed him the close-up pictures. I didn't say, look, this is a Chanel bag. Costs the price of a car. I didn't, I showed the photos without saying the brand first. And I said, look, what do you think about this? And it's a huge, huge issue. The cobbler was shocked. Now, photos are just photos, quirky, just like you said. Yeah. You can't really tell from photos. You got to touch it, feel it, the texture. But I can tell you, and you see Jocelyn is caressing hers right now. It's a beautiful bag to touch. It doesn't feel cheap to the touch. So I don't know what's going on with it.
It smells like leather, but then, like you had said, it could be perfumed to be leather. And
yeah, you can perfume it too.
Yeah, and now the thing is, the construction, the stitching is amazing on this. It's not too tight. Like, it's, everything lines up. Like, even when I first unboxed it, I was like, the lining even lines up, the quilting, like, it's
everything
well made. And yeah, it feels like thick leather, but definitely it's treated. So it is, there is a coating on top. Although, you know, with the fuchsia, I did get to see the fuchsia when I was in Las Vegas a couple of times, and the color is stunning. It was definitely shinier than this. But regardless, you know, I could be fooled. Because, you know, even with like furniture, right? Like when Dacob, when you and I were first chatting about this, and I was saying, well, like, I mean, is it a bonded leather? And you were like, what's bonded? And then I was like, well, you know, in furniture, when you're buying like a leather couch, they'll say it's bonded leather. And Quirky had described what bonded leather is. And, you know, for our co-chatters, if you want to maybe quickly explain what bonded leather is.
Sure. So bonded leather, also known as PU leather in some places, is basically a plasticized leather blend. It is usually scraps of leather, and it's cheap offcuts of leather, like belly leather, or just like offcut scraps that can't be made into anything else. Ground up.
Sorry, Quirky. You said belly leather.
Belly leather. So from the
mentioned belly before too. You were saying something about belly leather as well.
Yes, yes. I told that to Quirky. Sorry, Quirky, for interrupting.
Oh, yeah.
Bonded. We're gonna get back in just a second. So one of my viewers the other day underneath my 22 video said, "Oh, Dacob, maybe it's so soft and appears thinner in some parts than others because it might be belly leather of a cow, which is very resistant, even though it's thinner than, let's say, the back of the cow." And then I said that to Quirky, and then Quirky had something to say.
So belly leather is a very non-resistant, fairly non-durable cut of leather. And because it is part of the stomach, when it is part of the actual animal, it expands and contracts a lot of times, very often over the animal's lifespan, however long it lives, because it is the part that, you know, the animal's eating. It's attached to the part that's expanding and contracting as the stomach moves and the cow walks. And so, or the animal, whatever it comes from. And so,
see, it sounds like you're describing me in the pandemic. Expanded, let me tell you, and I haven't retracted yet.
I'll do some training with you if you want. I do that as well. But oh yes, so belly leather is a very loose grain of leather, and because it has spent so much of its time being elasticized, essentially, it is not very durable. It does not last very long. It's very prone to quick wear. It's also a thinner leather, and so it is just it's not used for bigger pieces, or it shouldn't be used for bigger pieces. Most people who have belly leather that is not going to be recycled into bonded leather, they're making like coasters or like very small of a keychain, small leather goods. It's not. No craftsman worth their salt would be making a large piece out of belly leather if they could at all help it, basically. Like if that's not what it's for.
But is it cheaper? I mean, do you think they might have resorted?
Yes. It's a non-desirable leather, so it's much less expensive than, say, back leather, which is the best quality leather that you can get to make something out of. It's like neck and back are the best kinds of leather that you can get to create something with.
So what? Yeah. Oh gosh, but I mean, Quirky, are you going to go to Chanel anytime soon? Like to touch a 22?
Goodness, I mean, I really want to, and I also want to be like, can I just like bring a microscope in? Can I just like maybe, you know, we have, so my boutique is, I have two in my area. One's in a Saks and one's in a Neiman Marcus. So there's a clothing boutique, but it's on the second level and they don't usually have bags. So like I can't like sneak one in basically. But honestly, like I've had so many people in my videos be like, can we crowdfund you to buy a 22 so you can destroy it? And I'm like, I would not.
You know, there's a guy on YouTube who like cuts shoes in half and then talks about how it's made, like the quality of it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Because there was some really bougie person who could just rip open designer bags.
Right. I wish.
I mean, let's just call Jeffree Star. I mean, he already did it. He's like, okay, let me do it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Well, you know, when I said that, like, I feel like slicing through. Then Dacob, you said, oh, well, maybe we can look at a cross section of the strap. But then there was also like, well, what if they used a different leather for the strap? So I mean, and it's so thin, like you can't. It's very hard to tell just by that. I did actually order a jeweler's loop a couple of weeks ago, and it's actually quite hard to look through. Like I go cross-eyed, and then
you have to keep both eyes open.
Oh, it reminds me of like science lab, being at a microscope.
Yeah.
It gave me a headache.
I take my glasses off for it. I take my glasses off, and you have to keep both eyes open. I trained on it for gems first, so I have experience with, you know, that.
I'm just going to the chats. Blue Egyptian Lotus, Jasleen, I love that dark pink 22A vanity. Thank you for sharing it. I would have not known if it came that intoxicating color, and it is. I mean, like I don't know if it's showing up on the live stream, but this is the exact same color as the 22 that Dacob had bought, and it is a stunning color. This vanity's in lambskin, and so far, I mean, like, it looks to be good quality. Like, it's well made. There's no problems with it. The leather feels amazing. The color is not peeling. So you know, I wouldn't dismiss the entire collection altogether for métier d'art, but it's really unfortunate. Now, Dacob, what you were saying was, you know, maybe the lighter colored bags, or I was saying maybe the lighter colored bags aren't, you know, you're not seeing that obvious flaking. And you had said, well, maybe because there's not as many layers of paint or whatever it is that they use that to put on top of the color. And so that's why you don't have that much flaking. Because I think, was it Romina? Yeah, I think in Romina's video, somebody had sent her a photo of their bag, and it's the exact same bag as mine. And the wear on theirs is very similar to mine. It's like a little flake that's come off, but not nearly as bad as yours. Like yours look like a scab.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Actually, somebody asked about what bonded leather was, because I don't think we ever finished that.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
No, sorry. And just wanted to really quick tell the co-chatters that so bonded leather, also known as PU leather, if it has some people, PVC leather is a vinyl. It's usually completely synthetic. It's completely man-made. Bonded leather specifically is a plasticized leather where you have ground up bits of leather that is combined with a plasticized element, polyurethane usually, to solidify into basically leather plywood. And it does have layers like plywood does. And it's also very fragile, kind of in the way plywood is. So it is the only kind of leather that can peel, because it's the only kind of leather that is made of layers as opposed to, you know, natural occurring fibers that come from skin. In terms of peeling for leather, like if leather had a improperly bonded paint on top, the paint could peel off and then the leather underneath would be whatever leather it is. But if it's not just the paint that's peeling and the leather itself is being damaged in a way that looks like the leather is peeling, then it really cannot be full leather, because leather physically cannot peel. Does that?
Yeah, that makes
very
sense.
clear.
It's just like my if you guys remember, many months ago, my wallet on chain was actually replaced, which is really bizarre. I still feel like the Chanel police is going to come after me and demand it back. But I had a wallet on chain made in France, and loved it to bits. And you know, it had threads that poked, that kind of would poke out a little bit. You just take it to Chanel, and they used to have in-house repairs prior to, you know, 2020. And they would, you know, snip it, or the seamstress would kind of fix it. And that wasn't a big deal to me. And then one time I had stupidly, and I'm very careful with my bags, as all of you guys are, I put it in one of my totes, and there was a zipper. And, you know, I was at a class, so I just put my wallet on chain in this big nylon tote that I have from Longchamp. And I put it in, and maybe the zipper had rubbed on the flap of the wallet on chain. And I noticed at the corner of the flap that it had rubbed, and it looked like suede underneath. So, and this is a caviar wallet on chain, by the way. So you can tell when something scuffs or peels, you see these fibers underneath, but it doesn't like lift. It doesn't lift up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. In my video, the second one I put out, I actually destroy several different types of leather belts.
Yeah.
So you can see each type of damage. Oh, hello. You can see each type of damage. And I go from genuine leather to real painted leather. So you can see what properly painted leather wears like, to top coat leather with a man-made synthetic material, to bonded leather. And then I compared each of those to the damage on the 22 from Dacob's picture. And obviously I couldn't say anything concrete. Again, I don't have a bag, but the viewers could compare the damage to the belt, leather belts or synthetic leather belts, to the damage that Dacob's picture showed, and draw whatever conclusion they felt like. And the similarities between the genuine leather and the Chanel 22, they had nothing in common. Yeah.
So this is really concerning for people who have a 22 and may have not used that, or they don't have visible wear like Dacob does. So if it's not,
I have wear.
yeah, but or Dacob's bag does.
I do too, honey. Oh, I got the wear.
Oh man, after these last couple of years, we all have a lot of really bad wear. but
the expanding part.
It's the expanding part of the belly.
Lines, the wrinkles, all that, the grays. But the thing is it, what do those people do? Because, you know, let's say if they don't use it as much or they haven't noticed, because every bag's going to be different. You know, they're all made differently. To some extent, there's variance. But what do those people do? I mean, one of my friends, exact same 22 bag that Dacob bought, and we both love this color. We're obsessed with this color. And we were thinking, we're like, holy crap, like, what do we do? Right? Like, so far hasn't observed anything because, you know, she hasn't used it. But, like, you're past that return window. So you can't really go to the boutique and be like, hey, other people on YouTube had hair and tear, and mine doesn't. You know, so I don't know. Like, do you just wait and use the bag and see and then... You know, I don't know. I
well,
feel like...
I asked my sales associate, I said, I was really very honest and direct, as I always is. And I says to her, listen, what gives, honestly, is your regular client that rich at this point that they buy a new bag every 2 or 3 weeks? The bag that they buy, take a selfie, moving on. And is Chanel kind of onto this? And so they think, well, we don't need the quality anymore because, I mean, they're going to keep buying these bags so quickly. They're not going to be wearing them too long. And in fact, I'm not passing any judgment on your friend. I don't know for what reason she did not wear her bag yet. But it is true that there are a lot of purchases. And I, you know, guilty as charged. I buy my bag. And then like 3 months later, oh, it's still in the box. Love it. Love to look at it in the box. Didn't wear it yet, but love it. And so I think maybe this is where the problem. We're over consuming too. Because like a lot of these bags, we love them. They're beautiful objects to us. They give us so much happiness and joy, but we don't wear all of them. Let's be honest, you guys.
Well, there's definitely... Sorry, Dacob. Yeah, go ahead.
No, but I just wanted to say, but to wrap that up, I wanted to say, but having said all that, maybe I did purchase a Minaudière, a special piece, a little tweed mini from the Egyptian collection, special piece. But you guys, I did not buy the 22 bag to frame it. The 22 bag was supposed to be the Chanel bag I bought to wear every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Use as a sleeping bag, obviously.
Right.
and
yeah, I feel like the 22, it's like kind of turned into just like it's for looks. It's like to take a picture, like to flex. It's like an Instagram bag. It's not like, I know when you buy a Chanel bag, you think, oh, this is like a lifelong bag. But it's marketed towards like, it's just like a throw around bag. So in your head, you expect, oh, you know, it will last day to day. But maybe for someone, the ideal Chanel client who has a $1 billion, maybe it is just a throw around trash bag and then they don't care if it falls apart. Like, it doesn't mean a thing. So maybe that's what maybe, you know, and if you look at the packaging and stuff now, they've completely stitched out on the classic flap dust bags are crap now. The the camellias are like crap now. Like everything, all the packaging, all those little details, they've gone to, you know, because people who have a lot of money, they don't care. They're probably just going to throw that stuff out anyway. So perhaps that's just become the whole thing now. It's just, you know, there's cutting corners everywhere because the client who they're targeting will not care.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what Cyborg says. The only thing the 22 is worthy of is the trash can. Well, I wouldn't push it that far, but for that price, yeah, I would definitely say they're making fun of us at Chanel for sure. For sure.
Well,
because
I definitely think that there's something to be said for people manufacturing pieces with the expectation that the client will not use them into the ground.
right?
And thus make them possibly more delicate. I mean, everybody talks about Chanel lambskin as a very delicate leather. I have my disagreements, but also, you know, Chanel lambskin from like 2017, 2016, very, very delicate, 100%. Like that was just a very delicate year for lambskin. I'm sure, Dacob, you probably are aware of that.
Well, yeah, no, for sure. I made a video, God, several years ago now, because there's been, you know, I'm one of those dinosaurs from YouTube, been there since 2014, and since I, you know, unboxed and started, you know, buying and collecting Chanel bags, and I've been through caviars, through lambskins, and I can tell you, I've been asked a lot of times, hey, what gives? You know, what's better, caviar or lambskin? What lasts longer? And I made this video, I don't know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, and I said, you guys, long term, if you're going to use your bag, and I was talking quality lambskin here, okay?
Yeah.
Not the trash they're doing today. I said, long term in that video, lambskin is a better bet. Caviar, when you beat up caviar, honey, it's beat up. You beat up lambskin, it's kind of, it has that Kate Moss wearing her busted Birkin and her busted Kelly vibe. It has that something about it, you know? It's still attractive. A busted caviar is not attractive.
Yeah,
a busted lambskin, very hot.
Yeah.
Very, very
Treat
hot.
it more. You can do more to lambskin than you can to caviar.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the point about not using bags, for sure, guilty as charged. There are, you know, I live in a city where we have 4 distinct seasons, and you know, I'm not going to wear light colored handbags when it's raining or snowing out. Like, I'm not going to do that. That's going to be worn in the summer. So
Sure.
I may buy a handbag in the winter, hoping to use it when it's warmer out. This particular one, the 22 in the coral pink, this is very spring summer, and it was marketed as the it girl bag. And I don't normally, you know, fall into trends. I don't buy new releases. I usually kind of sit and wait it out. And for whatever reason, I wasn't going to buy this, but I saw the color and I loved it. And I looked at it in the boutique. I tried on several, you know, I was kind of umming and ahhing about it. And then when I saw this, I got it because one of my friends was with me, and she's like, you know what, it looks amazing with how you just put it on. It looks great. My sales associate was like, you need to get this bag. And they meant well. It wasn't, you know, menacing or anything like, ha ha ha, you know, let's rip her off. It was like, you know, this looks really good. And, you know, and, you know, I bought it in April. It was still raining and kind of gross out and cold. I wasn't going to wear this with my like black coat to get color transfer. So I waited, you know, I waited till it was beautiful spring, summer, because that's the intention I had behind using this bag. And yeah, like, you know, it's not like several years ago when I would have a couple of handbags and I'd use them, you know, as forever bags. Now a lot of items are trendy. I'm not using this every day. For sure. I'm not using this.
Why not?
I mean,
such an easy bag.
I know, it's not an easy bag, right? But,
no.
You know, but that could be it. Like maybe, you know, they're just banking on the fact that people will not notice because they're not using it as much. And
I've noticed the same issue with their clothes, you guys. Now I have, you know, some of my followers on my Instagram account, the Dacob CC account, where I showcase like photos I take of Chanel and of my Chanel collection. And I photographed this wonderfully colored rainbow tweed jacket, a knitted one with extra added pieces. And then somebody commented, and maybe it was Andrea, I can't remember who commented, and said, oh, you know, I'm a seamstress. This is not stitched properly. And I was like, oh, I can't see it because it's all zigzaggy, the tweed and the knit and everything was there was a lot going on. And to me, to my eye, I couldn't see. But then she said, no, they cheaped out on this. They did not edit it properly. I was like, oh, really?
To that point, actually, Dacob, zero offense to you at all and your knowledge. But in your video, you talked about how well made the Chanel 22 was in terms of like just craftsmanship of the seams and the lining and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
In that video, you pulled out the lining to show it to the viewers.
Yeah.
I showed that to a friend of mine and they laughed.
Why? Why did they laugh? Tell me.
Because lining is it is basic, first of all. Like it's a basic thing that you should do with any garment, a bag. It should be lined unless it's supposed to be fully leather, like certain bags are. Lining is a basic part of garment construction and accessory construction. Making the lining fully attached to the garments so it cannot be pulled out is a sign of attention to detail in a way that being able to pull the lining out is not. Being able to attach lining just at the seams is a much easier and simpler task in terms of sewing than being able to attach it all the way in so it stays firm in place. And it's a cleaner look, it's a more polished look, and it is a more difficult look. So being able to...
Interesting that you say that, because Chanel keeps saying this, and they've been saying this for now 20, 30 years in their promotional materials. They pride themselves of not attaching lining inside. They pride themselves in allowing you to pull it out. Even their double flaps, the lining is never attached. You grab it and you pull it out completely. And they're proud of the fact that when you put it back in, it aligns perfectly because they're doing a bag in a bag concept, and they don't use glues, so they say.
Well, I don't mean glues. For sure. No.
No, but I mean, they also use glues also for the timeless classics, as we know.
Yeah, I talked about interfacing.
But you can, too. Right. But you can pull out that interior leather lining of the 255. But the thing is, so what they did with the 22 bag is they tried to mimic that, the classic Chanel bag that has a bag in a bag concept. And they wanted to take extra care because some of their bags are lined with a gros grain or just with a normal cotton.
Yeah.
There's no quilting. So the interior, you could just put it in. But this interior, they actually had to, with the quilting, work to align the front back panel of the interior lining so that when you pull it out, it's like a jacket. It's completely aligned. Every single quilting diamond from one side adds up to the back side. So I get where they were going for. Whether or not this is considered, let's say, for big, if we're going to analyze bigger picture of what is deemed quality in general, maybe this is not good quality. But kind of Chanel keeps saying, well, they're really proud about that. Same applies, by the way, to the lining of their jackets. They're very proud of the fact that their silk lining can be completely, it's not sewn together. You know how there's inner silk lining works on their jackets? Usually when we buy a cheap jacket in Zara, you're going to have that interior lining that is like one piece of synthetic. Chanel tailors the inner lining. The inner lining of a Chanel jacket is going to have different panels all sewn together. So if you were to pull out the lining, you have a full jacket inside made out of silk. It's insane. Now, obviously, now they're cheaping out on that as well. They're making it less and less special. But the idea behind the 22 bag was that. Now, whether or not that means it's poorly made, hey, if your friend says it's poorly made, I completely bow to her. I mean, because I don't know. You know, I don't make bags. So I cannot tell you what is good or bad.
It's certainly... for someone who, I meant it, I'm sorry, I guess I didn't. I meant it as someone who doesn't know Chanel, but who only knows quality craftsmanship. So they do costuming, their mother makes tapestries. So they grew up in like a lot of sewing, like very important, like very big, sewing construction craftsmanship things. So to someone who doesn't know that being able to take out the lining is a Chanel thing, they heard that you could pull the lining completely out of the bag and said, what? I'm sorry, does that make more sense?
No, I totally understood you the first time. Yeah. No, you were very, very clear, sweetie. No worries at all. It was very, very clear and very, very to the point. I just wonder at this point, has Chanel been lying to us about this as well? Like, have they been telling us, oh, this is a great thing, but in reality, they were saying it just so that they could get away with doing it cheaper? I don't know.
It could be.
Yeah, because there's a lot of seasonal Chanel bags where you can pull out the lining. They've been doing that for years, not like a new thing. Even back before, in 2011, there's seasonal bags that you can pull the lining out. I know, because sometimes if I have to check the code, I can just pull the whole lining out to find it.
There are a couple people in chat talking about the lining too.
Tell me, quirky.
So let's see. Deborah Smith says it's cheaper to create lining that pulls out of a bag, to each their own, but there's no way around the fact that it's done because it's cheaper to do so. Elaine Lal says, I know what you mean about the lining. I have some experience with sewing, and doing a flush lining is more work. And Anja, I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce your last name, says, sorry, but a proper lining always should be tailored. Oxa 198, it's 2 squares, so it's the most simple thing to line lining and seams and stitching. Unboxed Beauty says, thanks for showing us, Shakeen, because I really appreciated you showing the bag.
I was doing the whole Vanna White thing.
Yeah, I saw. You're very, very fluid, very graceful.
But yeah, the lining, like Jessie said, it's always nice to pull out the lining, because then you can see remember that, like the sticker, right? Like it's so like tedious to go in and when you pull it out, you can take a look at it. The classic flap Dacob, I don't know, I've never, because it's leather, right? So I've never attempted to kind of like pinch and totally pull it out. I don't think, but speaking of the lining, I tried to do that before, but it's not, one would always think like it had to be flush to the bag. And some people send me photos on Instagram and are like, is this normal? Because I see it kind of like, moving around and bubbling. And I'm like, yeah, because it's not meant to be tight to the bag. It's meant to have some movement.
Yeah, a bit of give.
That's also cheap. Let me tell you, 2 stories.
Yeah.
One, 2015. Picture it. This is Sophia Petrillo, Golden Girl. Picture it, 2015. A young peasant Sicilian girl shops on eBay and buys a secondhand 255 bag in Jersey. Not just in New Jersey, but out of Jersey. And it was a cranberry pink, and I never showed that bag. I bought it off of eBay.
Ooh.
And I sent it back right after that. It was a huge drama because, so first of all, the person photographing the bag didn't show that the jersey had holes in the back. It was all a mess. But I took it to my, back then, person who was expert in leather. And I got a heart attack because I took it to them. Now, the leather is, the bag is lined in leather. The 255 reissue. Jersey on the outside, leather on the inside. And I took it and I said, hey, look, you guys, there's these like holes there. Like, is it fixable? Do I fight? Do I send the bag back, get my money back? What do we do? Because I love the 255. So this lady who's oh my God, I love her. I wish I were still in that same spot. Anyway, because I would have taken my 22 to her as well, but I'm not in the same place anymore. So as she is. So anyway, the first thing, so she takes the bag. Oh, I don't have a bag here to show you guys. Like something, anyway. Mom. And she, how people are that work with leather. We are like, oh my God, Chanel bag, don't touch it. They put gloves on, But she's like, works with leather. She takes it. The first thing she did, she took the bag, she grabbed inside, pulled out she pulled out the lining. I got a heart attack, almost fainted. I'm like, no, don't. She's like, what? That's how you do it. How do you think they did it? Dacob, come on, get a hold of yourself. And she pulled out the thing and she's like, twirling it, twisting it, inspecting it. She's like, yeah, we can't fix this. This has been beaten up real bad. So that's, why did I say this though? God damn it. You see, now I have a problem that I don't remember what I started.
We were talking about the bag lining and it being like loose and not tight to the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had 2 stories and I forgot the second one. Well, it's the age. Come to you. 237 years old. Expect nothing less from a vampire. Midway through, forgot the story. So anyway, I returned that bag, got the money back. So that was a 255. And then there was another example with quality issue. Oh, I'll get back to it. Sorry, guys.
Well, I have an example because maybe it'll come back to you, Dacob. I bought a reissue, a medium-sized reissue in Paris from the Rue Cambon flagship. I thought it would be iconic to buy there. And this is a couple of years ago. And I brought it back. Again, didn't use it for like 2-3 months. And then when I went to go use it, just like I've had bags like that where I was too scared to use them, right? This is in my stages where I was like, it's too precious. I can't use it, And I was cool then. Like, where was I going to take this? I was going to take this to school, right? So, I've had issues like that where it came up. But the reissue. So I noticed on the inside that the lining, there was a joint, and I'm like, is that normal? So I sent...
What joint?
There was a joint. I won't get, like, I probably should have, if I knew, I would have brought it here. I don't have the bag with me anymore. But there's kind of like there's always a joint actually there. I've seen it in other bags. But anyway, I took a photo of it, and it looked off to me compared to my other bags. And I sent an email to the store, the Campbell store. And they had said they must have forwarded to their internal operations. And I got an email from somebody at corporate. And they said that this appears to be a defect. Please bring the bag back to the store and we will give you an exchange or a store credit. And then I said, well, I'm Canadian. I came back to Canada. And the woman said, not to worry. We will contact the two. There's at the time there was, there's supposed to be 3 boutiques, but one of them had closed for renos. And, or no, there were 3 boutiques then. Yeah, there were 3 boutiques. They had contacted the boutiques and said, okay, we will arrange to get the same bag for you at such and such boutique, and it's there for you, ready to be exchanged. That was a very smooth process. And, the defect wasn't even that bad, okay? It's not as bad as the defects we're seeing on the 22. So if they could do that, for that bag, then they really should. I mean, unless there's a change in management, with...
Yeah, they had a change in management at the beginning of the year. They got all these new people in, yeah.
But, and that was such a minor thing that, somebody with an untrained eye, or probably not somebody who's as picky as I am, probably would not have even blinked at that. And they actually did an international exchange.
Oh, yeah, of course. They sent it over to Canada.
Exchange. And this is like a couple of months after purchase. So that's why I'm like, you know what? Like, I still have faith in their service and satisfying the customer. But, you may, like, other customers, like, we're seasoned clients. We go in, we know what we're talking about. We know what we want. But for somebody who maybe doesn't shop as much, or doesn't know the boutique as much, or maybe doesn't work with a particular sales associate as much, they could be shooed away. So I would be intimidated. Speak up.
Oh, yeah, completely intimidated. Yeah, it can be intimidating. I just remembered. Yeah. I'm brain dead, but I remembered. And I wanted to say, because you said, and Jessie was saying, the lining doesn't have to be like of the bags fully in there. Actually, the really good ones by Chanel are fully, especially the vintage ones, 80s, 90s, that inner bag of the double flaps or the single flaps back then, but they still had interior lining in leather. It's aligned to the bottom perfectly. Now, the newer versions are sloppy. And unfortunately, Exhibit A, and this is what I wanted to say. So that jersey 255 was fine. The jersey was busted, but the thing was aligned. But Exhibit A, Paris, New York, Egypt, Métier d'Art, baby. Yeah, my favorite collection. The gold mini, rectangular mini gold. As well as from the same collection, which I have the gold mini, rectangular, in the mock croc, and the 255 mini reissue, the first one made. Both of them, and especially the golden mini, the interior leather lining is like literally like this far away from the bottom of the bag. It's like we're talking a centimeter. I was like, what the hell? Why is there so much space there? And that's not the case with my older minis. So there's quality issues there as well. Just saying.
My vintage bags are beautifully made in terms of like exact detail for stuff like that. Absolutely.
Right? Like to the nanometer. It's like attached, right? The interior lining.
Yeah, it's flush. It's flush.
Yeah. That's what I'm telling you. That's another thing. And I've noticed the last 255 bag, really, really good quality. Well, it's actually the actual reissues. The 226 and the 225 that I have, those are immaculate. Like the interior lining like sits on the bottom of that bag. There is no oxygen between those two layers.
Guys,
the minis are a little bit more like quicker made.
There's a comment by somebody, I don't know how to pronounce your name. It's Kevvyw. says,
Kev.
Yeah, I'm convinced that Hermes left a tool in between the layers of my bag. They had to send it back to the craftsman to remove whatever was left in there. Talk about surgery nightmare.
Wow.
Oh my God. And there you go. Just to prove the point that Hermes is also not what everybody's making it up to be.
Speaking of it, like in my video, I did a little update if anybody wants to see. That's where I included some close-ups of the 22. But, I also got a Birkin recently, and I've worn it maybe like once, if not twice, just toted it around, okay? And the dust bag is too snug to the bag. I actually pointed this out when I did the unboxing of the bag, that when you pull the bag out, it rubs at the bottom because the bag kind of comes out.
Yeah.
And I was concerned about rubbing, and lo and behold, I see there's rubbing. There's color that has come off, and mine is a pastel baby pink, baby lilac color, and this is where you get into dye process, because leathers are not that color. If they're darker, they can be dyed through. But in this case, there's always a color put on top if you want to make something lighter, okay? And,
yeah.
Tiana Perry, who's also on YouTube, she left a comment under my video and said, that's weird. It looks like it's a stain. Do you want to wipe it off? Maybe try wiping it off. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go try that because she has an Epsom. Mine is Epsom leather. She has an Epsom Birkin in a dark green color. I think it's malachite. And she has a scuff, and she said, mine is a lighter color underneath, but yours is a darker color. So maybe it's a stain. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to, and it's very small, you guys, on my bag. It's not huge, but when you take a photo, it looks pretty scary. And so I go and I wiped it with a white cotton pad, maybe a little bit damp to kind of wipe it gently. And then the underside got darker. So I'm like, oh, okay. Because it soaks up water.
Absorb the water.
Yeah. So and then it lightened up again after it dried. And then I messaged her. I said, "Yay, it didn't work." So
the attempt was made.
Maybe overall, Hermes is also experiencing quality issues as of late, because Dacob, when we did our live stream together, it is on the channel. It's posted. We were talking about Hermes quality, and one sales associate had told me that repairs is backlogged. They've been getting a lot of repair requests. And this sales associate had mentioned to me that the leathers are not what they should be for some quota bags, and that this sales associate is discouraging some of their clients from purchasing these bags because they're not the quality that they should be in terms of leather. So this could be a blanket thing overall with brands.
Oh, could be, definitely. But, our professional with Hermes is Jessie, because Jessie has amassed this incredible amount of Hermes bags between Kelly's, Birkins, a bolide. You even got a bolide in your collection.
I got a bolide, a Lindy, Ruly bag. See this year.
but you love the vintage ones.
Yeah, well, I was just looking actually, going back to the lining thing, because this is from 2019, and mine is not flush to the bottom either. There's a bit of space.
Yeah, so that's the minis for you.
I was noticing that too, but then I was looking at my vintage. This is from 1991, and it's actually quite tight, the lining. So that was interesting. I didn't really think about that before, but it's very well done. I noticed.
Yes, it's a good sign of quality if they really, really work to align perfectly the size and how they attach the inner line. And remember, you guys, that video, that crazy on crack speed video I made? I was not on any of those drugs, by the way. It was a very quick video where I said the 255 exposed. And I showed all these extra details that people usually don't look at. And one of them is how aligned is the interior leather bag, the lining, to the exterior in terms of the side stitches. Because you know how usually nowadays they never align. You always have that stitch, the edge stitch of the interior lining leather is slightly off, 0.5 centimeter away from that exterior stitch of the exterior part of the bag. But the old school bags always had them aligned. Always perfectly aligned. That ain't happening no more.
Jessie,
even on the
minis.
minis.
My bags more all these like little details.
And it's insane. And I'm telling you, and this is like this is the little things where they begin with, oh, we could save some time in production if we don't care about this detail anymore. Biggest detail of them all. They stopped doing that cross. You know those two stitches that hold the flap together to the inner flap?
Yeah.
Right. So they do them like this, horizontally. And once they're done, by hand, they have to do a vertical one internally. Inside of the horizontal, they do a vertical one. That thing takes time, and it takes a lot of precision, and you got to do that by hand. They stopped doing that years ago because they're like, who cares? Well, I care, because...
The cross stitch, you reminded me that I remember watching your video on this, and then I went to go look at my bags just like how Jessie's looking at her bags. But the thing is like going back for anybody who's now considering the 22, okay, fine, the color, the craftsmanship, the stitching or whatnot, but is this leather? Right?
Reeling it back in.
That's my concern.
What I'm here for.
I don't have like as much cracking or peeling, but is the bag that I paid like $7,000 and up for, is this leather?
Well, by law in Europe, where the bag was made, even if they used 1% leather and mixed it up with whatever they want, as long as there's a bit of leather in there, they could call it leather. And they can get away with it.
So I know that...
Because they didn't say on their website that this is full grain leather. I know Quirky called them and contacted them, and they told her on the phone, or they sent her an email that it's full grain. Yeah. But on the website, they don't say it's full grain.
I do want to say, I don't actually know about all of Europe's laws in terms of leather. In the UK, it is actually illegal to call bonded leather leather. It's not leather enough to be considered leather. So it is illegal, I believe, in the UK to call it that. I think also in Italy, don't quote me, I don't know for sure about Italy, but I do know that there are some places in the world where bonded leather, you can't call it leather. I don't know if that is true for France, though, and if Chanel's headquarters are in France and they don't have a law about that, then it doesn't matter whether or not it's legal in the UK because it's created.
Well, it's like with belts. You know how they state genuine leather, and then like it only has a surface layer of genuine leather, and underneath it's like something else.
Oh, you want me to bring in some belts? I have quite a few that have been.
I know they're. Which. But since these bags are sold worldwide, unless they don't have different production of different bags according to which country they're selling them in, let's say they're producing all of these 22 bags in the same facilities, which we also have doubts about because with Romina, we were making that other video about the stitches being different from bag to bag at the edges. So we're also kind of thinking, oh, maybe some bags are made in other factories. Now, if they're all produced really in Italy in that one place, which at this point I doubt, then they would all have to have the same material. Unless in that factory, they already had their batches produced to send to America in that leather, these other batches produced to send over to Japan in that other leather. That's also a possibility. I know one thing I remember, a story from long ago, that Adidas made some sneakers and they kind of like, it was a little oopsie, and they, the cheapest leather is pork. Swine. And so obviously you can't sell sneakers made out of pork in Muslim countries. Obviously. So it was a huge issue. They're like, oh, yeah, they saved some extra money and then they figured it out last minute. Hold on, recall all the sneakers.
Oh my goodness. I've seen stories like that where, especially for a religious thing, where something is not done right, like in kashrut, in the Jewish culture. There was a thing a while back with Breyers, I believe it was, because at the time Oreos weren't kosher. And there was a kosher cookies and cream with not real Oreos. And then there was a cookies and cream with real Oreos. And some person at the factory decided to substitute. This happened. There's like news articles about this. And Breyers and the entire parent company of Breyers almost lost Heckscher forever, forever. It was like a huge thing. It was a huge thing. Like
Wow.
you don't want that type of thing to tarnish your reputation at all. But yes, reeling back to leather. I'm sorry, Jesline.
No, but like, yeah, that's the main question. I don't think we have the answer to. I mean, Blue Egyptian Lotus said, I questioned whether my black caviar classic flap was real leather. It doesn't feel like leather, but they claim it is. And, you know, sometimes, yeah, because of the imprinting and it can be plasticky, right? So that's an interesting concern. Unique Rivera says, does it go off of the laws of the country of production or the country of sale? And that's the question I have too, because yes, the headquarters is in France, and if their laws say, you know, what Dacob said is that if it's 1% leather, they can call it leather. But my bag has been sold in Canada. I'm a Canadian consumer. I'm purchasing from a boutique in Canada that's actually located in a Canadian department store, so it's bought from there. How does that play out? I don't know.
Well, I'm no lawyer, so don't quote me on it. But
lawyers in the chat,
obviously, and we're gonna have. I'm sure somebody's gonna rip me apart in the chats later on when the video is posted. How dare you say 1%? You don't know diddly squat.
Allegedly.
But listen, because what does Chanel say? On their website, what they tell us about this bag, there's two versions of it. One is shiny, one is not, but both are called calfskin. One is called shiny calfskin, and one is called calfskin. That's all they tell us about this bag. They don't tell us it's full grain. They don't tell us which part of the calf this leather bit is from. It's a big part of leather. If you think about it, it's a big piece of leather. So it has to be, unless it's not whatever, composite of some sort, it has to be taken off a good quality piece of hide to maintain that quality throughout. And especially the large 22 bag. You guys, it's big.
It's huge.
It's a very big bag.
Yeah.
So imagine, plus, you know, it's one piece of leather running all the way from the bottom, then there's the corner, it's still one piece of leather, then it goes all the way up. Then it bends because it creates the tunnel for the chain, then the leather keeps going inside of the bag quite a bit. So if you were to unravel all of that, it's a huge hide.
Yeah. It's
so
interesting that they actually... Oh, excuse me, sorry.
Sorry, Quirky, go ahead, Quirky.
Everybody raise your hand.
Nessie?
Do you think, I was just going to say, do you think that with the Chanel 22, it could just be like mostly real, but because it's such a big piece of leather, they've had to break it down and then remold it as a big hide, like together? Does that make sense?
I don't know, Quirky could answer that maybe.
Big pieces of leather?
Well, I had two comments on that actually. So first of all, it's very interesting that they specify calf skin, because calf skin and cow skin are different. They both come from the same animal, but they're different types of leather completely.
And one is a baby, right?
Well, yes, a calf is a young cow, but also the leather itself is much more supple and soft and flexible, whereas cow skin is more durable. For instance, like in saddlery and leather work, the cow skin is what the base of the saddle is made of, because it needs to be durable and strong and stiffer. Whereas the part where like the rider sits, or where like comfort is more necessary, then you're using like a calf skin to do the padding and stuff. So you're talking about a smaller animal for the most part, not that they're tiny because they're cows, but you're definitely talking about a younger animal. And for a piece like the Chanel 22, which again, I haven't seen one in person, but from what I can see from other people showing it, it's a panel and then a panel, correct? Like it's two panels sewn together?
Yes.
Yeah, so
it's exactly two panels. Yeah,
so you have the one panel, the other, and then the lining itself is fabric, correct? I believe.
Cotton.
Yeah, cotton. Yeah. So the panel, especially for the large 22, needs to be, yes, it would have to be one full sheet, essentially, of leather, of hide. And would need to be supple because the bag itself it can't be a thick, stiff type of durable, leather in the way that cow skin might be over calf skin. So I can see why they would go in that direction. But just the thought of how many Chanel 22s they would be manufacturing in just the last 2 collections, how quickly they've been manufacturing them. They've been starting to produce for the next several seasons already.
Yes.
How much leather is used for each bag. And then Chanel is then also not telling us, but we assume that it's all very good quality leather. How many cows do we have of that quality, of that size, of that shape to make these things so fast?
And don't forget, as you were justly saying in your own video a couple of days ago, there's, fine, full grain leather, okay, but then there's premium quality, A, B, C, D, E, F. And don't forget, Chanel ain't they want to be the only luxury brand out there, but they're not. There's other luxury brands in Europe competing with them for the premium hides available. And there's only a certain amount of hides available. And yet all of these brands keep upping their production numbers. So at a certain point, there's not enough animals to go around. So what do? You got to start cutting corners with quality somewhere, because Hermes wants its premium hides. Dior wants its premium hides. Chanel wants its premium hides. Louis Vuitton is pushing more and more into leather bags rather than canvas bags. They want their premium hides. So Chanel all of a sudden wants a full baby cow per bag.
Oh,
what? Sorry?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting. I'm
actually, I'm blabbering too much. I'm actually rude. You should talk.
Just an interesting fact is that LVMH actually is a member of a specific type of international leathers guild where they guarantee that their leather is sourced from the top percentage of leather tanneries and producers for environmental friendliness, safety, quality standards, and just like dirt, like material itself. So LVMH is part of that. They stated on the website, if you look into the company, you can see that. So Louis Vuitton, Chanel doesn't have that on anywhere. So Chanel does not state anything about where their leathers are sourced from. Hermes, I believe, owns most of their tanneries, if not all of them. I think Hermes owns their own, so I don't know if they're in the same equation. And Dior is underneath LVMH, so they are also part of this like guarantee. But Chanel doesn't have a guarantee, and I don't know about. I know where they supposedly say where I've been told they source their materials from when it comes to hides, but they don't state anywhere explicitly that they are part of any particular network or anything like that.
The only thing that they say is that they lately purchased a few tanneries around Europe that have become their tanneries. As a sort of a seal of quality. But they definitely don't just vant around information like, oh yeah, we source the sheep from New Zealand. You said in your video, right, that the lamb skin comes from New Zealand, didn't you?
Yes.
The one from a couple of months ago or years ago.
I was told locations of certain places. When I contacted Chanel again, I've been contacting. They're probably sick of me. I had to start giving aliases. When I contact, they tell me, okay, this is where it's sourced from. This is where we get our cattle. This is where we get our sheep. This is where we get our lamb. So I do specify. It's a video that I did a while back about Chanel caviar and lambskin specifically. It's somewhere. So Chanel told me, spoke to me specifically to tell me that where these things are sourced from. But, that's just people telling me words.
Yeah, there's no proof, right?
Like it's on the internet,
Yeah, they can say whatever they want. Bottom line is, Jasleen, you're the only one who has the bag still. You should take it to a cobbler. Not get it cut, but just get somebody to look at it and be like, hey, this is this or this is that.
Yeah. I was actually wanting to do that this week. I didn't get time to do that, but there are a couple of leather care places that I could go to and see and ask that question, is this leather? But, what I'm thinking is, because this whole thing about thinking about the animals, because everybody talks about production. There aren't enough people to craft these bags. There's not enough this. But, this is a really important point that we're highlighting about thinking of the animals. And we don't extrapolate to that extent that you actually need a sizable piece from the animal. Like, just like Dacob said, you need one cow for the 22. And then also looking at consistency, right? You can't have consistency between animals because genetically they're all going to be different, and their hides are going to be different. Their skin is going to be different. So bag to bag, there's going to be variation in how they take on color and dye, etc. Now, my concern is if this is bonded leather, is because Chanel is trying to be green, right? They're cutting back on a lot of things. We're not going to give you plastic pouches for your swimwear. We're not going to give you garment bags because that's becoming a thing where they're not going to give garment bags for their ready to wear, which is absurd. But they're from their packaging, etc. What if this is like, oh, well, we're trying to be green, and let's say if they start to make vegan leather, like Stella McCartney and other houses, I think I will say right now, then I'm going to stop buying these bags. So I mean, I'm all for animal right, and the thing is we don't think about what goes into getting and obtaining these leathers. When you see videos and you're like, holy crap, I'm a monster because I'm consuming these products. Yes, I eat meat, but when you look at how we don't know if these animals are being humanely sacrificed for their leathers and for their meats. We don't want to think about that in the luxury community, really. And if you get into that information, it's really disturbing. It makes you not want to buy any of it.
Go, Quirky.
Yes, Quirky, you may speak now.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just two comments. One, so in terms of the leather industry, I don't want to be like completely blanket statement, but as far as I know from what I've researched, all leather creation production is made as like cow at least is made as a byproduct of the meat industry. We do not kill cattle for leather. Mm-hmm. It's for meat, and then the leather is also purposed into other things.
Someone said that cats recently. Yeah.
So that's just like I don't know if it makes people feel better or worse, but that it's just a fact of the leather industry is that these animals are at least we're using as much as we can for them, and in terms of like people have been doing that for like indigenous people have been being around for ages.
But indigenous people aren't crazy like us luxury bag consumers.
In terms of like consumption, in terms of meat.
I know. But could you imagine indigenous people going like, so I want a new hide to wear today, and then I want another color for next week. Usually
beadwork that people have done.
I think that's why Chanel argue they've stopped using exotics because the exotic animals are not killed for meat. They're killed purely for the bag. So they said it was a more sustainable move to use lamb and cow only because they are a byproduct of the meat industry.
And goat.
A lot of brands that will say that, and they're I know when I worked at Cellarotte, there were people who would come and say, oh, how cruel, like all these dead animals. And we would say, oh, well, it's a byproduct of the meat industry. So that was something that we were trained to say. But, if you look at Hermès, like their crocodiles and stuff, they're not killed for the meat. They're killed for the bags. So there are some, it depends on the brand. And Fendi, the fur is not killed for the meat either. It's the jackets and whatever. So it depends on the brand. Some brands, their bags are made from the meat industry, just byproducts of that, and why not make a bag out of a lamb that was eaten anyway? Like, may as well. But yeah.
But you know what? And this is something I gotta defend Chanel here. Well, not the brand, Coco. Because let's not forget one important thing. All of these brands, Hermes can go suck it, quite frankly, with their attitude and their leathers and their overconsumption and their reptiles and everything. Coco did not start with leather. Her first 255 bag was jersey.
True.
And it was lined in gros grain. The chain was in metal. There was zero ounce of leather in that bag. And this is something, and you guys say, oh, but if Chanel starts doing mushroom bags and pleather, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it either. But I would buy, if Chanel decided today and said, you know what, guys, we're just going to start doing tweed, wool, jersey, cotton bags from now on, I would keep buying. I have a couple Chanel bags in tweed, in silk, in velvet, in cotton, in denim. They are amazing. And guess what?
Chanel has made PVC bags and sold them as PVC bags. As long as people knew what they were buying, they were perfectly happy to do so. The Mini Aldea are made of plastic.
Yeah.
I mean, part
yes,
of
but that's a resin thing. Yeah. The Mini Aldea,
but part of it too is transparency. I mean,
yeah, for sure. But Chanel, unlike all the other brands, started as a fabric, as textile bag producer. They started with that. That's their heritage, you guys. The best Chanel bags are the ones that are made as an ensemble to match your whole outfit. And now we've moved away from that. And yes, we are obsessed with leather luxury bags, but are leather luxury bags the best luxury bags? Or have we been misled? And is textile, are fabric bags the best? What? Haha, question.
That's a very interesting.
Sorry. Dr. Doran just said that Hermes is releasing a mushroom leather, which will be interesting.
So Stella McCartney also, that's something you need to say about.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Stella does, and also with Adidas, the mycelium mushrooms thing.
There's mango leathers as well. See, I have different opinions on leathers, obviously. Everybody can tell, co-chatters can tell, I am very interested in leathers. It's a thing, that's fine. But in terms of plastic, pleather, vegan leather, absolutely not. No, no. It's plastic. You're just making plastic to be more plastic. Absolutely not. Mushroom
not at that price point.
I'm sorry?
Not at this price point.
Oh, absolutely. In general,
make them cheaper.
Like okay. There's I think they're Canadian, brand, Matt and Nat, they do recycled plastics and then they make vegan leather bags, but they're also priced like $300-400
for what they are.
And not at this price. And I know a full leather handbag should not cost $7,000. I recognize that, but in comparison, for vegan leather, I'm not going to spend money.
Yeah.
Like, it would be incredible if Chanel just did tweed and denim and that sort of thing, but at the same time, I don't want to pay $8,000 for a denim bag,
No, but they don't charge that much for their denim bag. No, the denim bags cost less than the leather bags, of course. Still, they cost way too much. But there's something about a good fabric, a good cotton, a good wool, a good jersey. If Chanel, and they know how to do it when they want to do it. It's just amazing, you guys. I have some of the textile Chanel bags I have are my favorite ones because there's just so much DNA of the brand in there. There's like Coco Chanel in there, there's her whole way of envisioning fashion and how to wear fashion and how fashion is supposed to be comfortable at the end of the day, And a textile bag is soft. It's always warm. In the middle of winter, you go out with a bag made out of jersey. It's not like leather. You touch it, you freeze. It's warm to the touch every time you touch it. And then jersey in summer is cooling instead of overheating. People think, oh, jersey in summer, you're going to sweat. No. Jersey is a breathable textile. It's amazing.
Yeah. And definitely, and somebody pointed out to me too with the denim bag, and she wore it when it was kind of raining outside and was totally okay with it versus with leather, you're kind of guarding it because you don't want water spots and all that. But, it definitely but I think denim bags, next collection, I think there's some denim classic flaps coming.
But listen, to rein it back into the 22, just quickly.
Yeah.
Next season, the 22 is coming in tweed. But guess what? My sales associate said the interior is going to be in leather because they want to reinforce the chains that are coming out. Because if it were just tweed, it would kind of cut through the tweed, the chains. And I'm like, great, now you're going to cut through the leather and the tweed.
Yeah, the design it's problematic.
Everything about it is perfect. What are you talking about?
Right?
Yeah.
Can do no wrong.
People were messaging me when Dacob's video came out and Romina's video came out, and they were asking me, should I sell my 22? Like, I'm worried now. Should I sell it? And then I'm thinking, I'm like, I mean, some people must have that question as well. And they're like, well, you know, and I'm thinking, if it was, this is me personally, if I have a bag that's defective, I don't feel right selling it to somebody who may not know. Like, and also, even if it was brand new, you're going to sell it to somebody. You're not going to get all your money back because that person can go to the boutique and just buy one for themselves that's brand new, right? Like, you're going to make a loss. So the best thing, I think, is to handle it with Chanel. This is between us, the buyer, and Chanel.
Yeah,
and
make them know that they can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah, don't pass it off to somebody else. That's my personal opinion. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that, you know, are out to lunch and don't care and don't pay attention to this stuff, and they just want the newest it bag. But I think if enough people bring this issue up and get through the red tape, like if you're being dismissed, talk to somebody else, find somebody else, and if that doesn't work, talk to the manager. If that doesn't work, say, you know what, I'm going to contact corporate. I'm not getting heard. Get through to repairs. Make sure this information is getting to repairs. They're going to get an influx from left, right, and center globally, and then they'll do something about it.
Yeah. Fight.
Yeah.
What a mess. It's such a mess.
I feel like they don't want to make better quality leathers or because they want the bags to wear out in a timely manner so you can buy a new bag as well. Like, you don't want to make bags too durable that are going to last, because then you just buy it once and that's it. You know?
But the FOMO is coming back.
Yeah.
But you see, but again, that's also false advertising, because Bruno Pavlovsky, in his interview, he keeps saying Chanel is moving towards sustainability. I'm like, well, the first part of being sustainable is what Vivienne Westwood always says: buy less, choose well, make it last. So if you're not going to abide by those 3 simple rules, then you're not sustainable, boo-boo. Yeah. So if you keep making 10 collections a year and you want me to keep buying a new bag every 2 weeks, what's sustainable about that?
Manufactured obsolescence, yeah.
Right? I mean, sorry, am I being too crazy here?
It would be far more sustainable if they allowed us to pick the color that we want in a bag. Because a lot of the time, you know, when you get your black bags, right? You know, we all start. I mean, I started there. I got everything in black, and then I moved towards color. And then now it's kind of getting to a point where there's one season and a color will come out, and then that color might be a similar color, but you prefer that tone to what you have, because now that's available, because that is the dream color you had, or you're looking for that color you want, but they don't have the color available. So if they made it so where you can choose the exact color and hardware you want, then that would be good. I'm hearing that blipping now too myself.
Yeah.
When I talk. Yeah, now I know what people. I have no idea what. Sorry.
But this is part of marketing, for them to make a color slightly different every season because they want to get you every single time.
Which is interesting.
It's a part of the strategy.
Oh, sorry. It's interesting that that's part of the strategy now that they're limiting how many bags you can actually even buy, though.
True.
Like, if you can only, you know, like if you can only buy one a year or 2 a year or something, or one a month, wherever you live. But they want you to want every single one. How does that?
Oh, they bend the rules all the time.
I feel like their long-term strategy as well is to deter people from buying bags in general and focus on the clothing. Like, even if you watch the latest haute couture runway show, there's like barely any bags on the runway. Like, nothing. It's all clothing. So long-term, they might be thinking like this bag thing in 20 years is not like, it's not.
Wait, who did that, Jessie?
Chanel.
But their fall-winter collection, every single model had 1 or 2 bags on the runway.
The haute couture runway.
Oh, well, no, haute couture also has no logos.
Yeah.
You pay extra to have no logos. Think about this, you guys. You're paying to get no logo. On pret-à-porter, you're paying $10,000. That's super cheap. You're paying $10,000 for a jacket. You best believe it's going to have double C's all over. You pay $100,000. We'll take the double C's off. So it's a totally different concept. It's insane. But you know what I'm really shocked about? Reining it back, and now we're at 2 hours, so we got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
But I also want to say, last thing, I'm not a fan of Vestiaire Collective, but to research for this video and the panel discussion, I went to Vestiaire Collective to check out the 22 bags. I was shocked that they go for more than retail. What the hell is going on here? They're available in the boutiques. Like, why is Vestiaire selling them like at $2,000-$3,000 more than retail? What's up with that?
The 22?
Yeah, the 22.
I noticed on Fashion File. They're already on Fashion File.
Yeah,
People have started selling on Fashion File, and it's actually it's more. I saw
Why?
that was like 65, 67 US dollars.
Yeah.
More Canadian, and I'm like, what the hell?
Like, why?
People are trying to sell quick before we raise awareness. That's probably what it is. Right?
Too late for that, baby.
I think it depends what country you're in, because in Australia it's still pretty hard to get the black one, and I've seen the pink one just through the window, but I think it is still pretty hard to get in some countries. The 22.
Yeah.
So
also
to
they
wrap
can
it
be
up,
listed, but are
Quirky
they
say.
selling? Oh,
Yeah,
Quirky,
true.
Quirky, go, Quirky, Quirky, go.
I just said they're being listed, but are they selling? Like, that's the other thing, I guess. Like, they could be listed for other things, and you can ask for anything, but are they being sold for that amount, you know?
Yeah, there's an option to click on, see the sold items.
Yeah,
I should have checked that as well.
Yeah.
I should have checked that as well. Didn't check that. But, well, in conclusion, you guys, will this deter us from purchasing any more leather goods from Chanel in the future? Or not?
I'm definitely hesitating, and I'm concerned. I've been looking forward to 22B because there's a gray coming out in herringbone that I very much like herringbone, so I've been looking at that. And it is something that I've been thinking of. It just like with my, I don't have a 22, but I've been experiencing stuff with my mini reissue from 22P. And I mean, I might be scrutinizing everything even more than we've already been scrutinizing everything. And I mean, they have to be held accountable for any type of quality concern, or they're going to just keep doing what they've been doing. Period. That's the end of my sentence.
Yeah. Jessie?
I really don't know, because my mind changes about things all the time, but there's nothing that I want to buy in this current time from Chanel, even with the upcoming collections I've been looking at, just because, well, for me, it's just so overpriced, and it's just silly now. Everything is just not worth it. I just think, you get something and you notice, the stitching's all coming out, and like, it's just, I don't know, from what I've seen recently, I'm just like, why would I pay that much for that? Especially when I'm more, I don't know, for myself, I get more of a thrill out of finding vintage and stuff, so, and I'm more into Hermes at the moment, so it's kind of a mixture of reasons why probably I wouldn't buy anything from the Chanel boutique myself, but who knows what the future will hold. I mean, you never know.
Jocelyn, what about you?
Oh man, I have no closet space. I don't have space for boxes. I've nested the boxes as much as I could. I bought enough in the last 2 years, I think. And I, because before I started with like classic colors and classics, and then I started experimenting with more seasonal variations and special colors. I think I've hit all my bases at this point, and there are 2 colors that I really want. Actually, one, I'm looking for a beautiful bright yellow. That is something that I like, a sunshine, like not a sunshine yellow, but something like similar to 22S, that bright pop of color.
Oh, like the yellow cruise, Greek cruise clutch I have.
Yes.
That's a sunshine yellow. Love it.
I saw your video years ago, and I fell in love with that color.
Beautiful color.
Yeah, if I find that color in a classic flap or a mini, or what if Hermes wants to give me a yellow bag? You know,
I mean, you haven't gotten one yet. Your husband did. So,
Yeah,
I mean, there's a chance.
I need that
There's
sick color.
Ooh, quirky.
I need that sick color. I think that I'll be good, and I'll keep my eye out for some special pieces that are, you know, tweeds or whatnot. But I'm good for bags, and I feel like as a cohort, you know, like I said, everybody moves in cohorts, right? There are people, I feel like I'm speaking as though, like, you know how we're talking about there's nothing really that I want, the quality is questionable. I feel like we're sounding like the people who used to buy these bags before we started buying. And they're like, this is ridiculous. Like, you know, I remember I was standing in line at Chanel, the flagship here in Toronto. And, you know, there's this is during the, you know, the days when they had capacity limits and everybody was masking and all that. And she had this beautiful lambskin yellow classic flap. And it looked like it was beaten up, right? And I complimented on her bag. And she was an older woman. And I was like, this is such a beautiful color. And she's like, oh, thank you. She's like, I don't want to go in there. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, have you seen the prices? Like, I don't want to go in there. And I'm kind of like chuckling, like, hee. And she's like, it's not funny. Like, this is like absolutely insane. And she's of the time when they purchased these items and they were probably better quality, for sure. And these people don't want to buy anymore because there's nothing for them to buy, right? And I feel like there's cohorts, right? For those of us, we're like, you know what, we're good. We've got our bags, we're good. We're moving on to other parts of the house. But there are younger people. Yeah, there are younger people who are just getting into the brand, and you know, they're not aware of these quality issues, and to them, they don't really care. They just want a piece of brand. So their dream is to get a classic flap. You know, they're starting off with shoes or something like that. So, you know, there was a comment in the chat, I can't remember who said it, but said, hey, everybody, and we talk about this, let's all stop buying and see what happens. But the thing is, there's only a small subset of us on social media that are talking about this, and there's a lot of other people who still want that dream and are still going to buy, right? And they know that.
Yeah,
brand
absolutely.
The majority, yeah, for sure. I mean,
I always come across people who they're trying to find their first designer bag, and you know, I have a lot of friends who are just getting into designer bags, and they might be in their early 20s, and a lot of them say, oh, I would just love to have a Chanel mini. I would love a Chanel mini or Chanel walk, and you know, it doesn't matter about the quality. They just want to get it from the boutique, and that's that, and they can't compare it to anything else because that's all they would be familiar with. You know, if that's their first bag, it's like comparing vintage to current Chanel. Like, it's completely different. But us who came into Chanel in the modern day, you know, if you're not into pre-loved, then you wouldn't have anything to compare. So you just kind of accept it.
For everybody watching, by the way, vintage Chanel, very, very nice for the most part. I do recommend it if you can find a reputable source to buy from. It's gorgeous stuff. I love it very much. Very nice.
Yeah, vintage Chanel. I agree with Quirky. And also, to answer my own question that I asked all three of you ladies,
yes.
Will I keep buying Chanel? Well, yes, I will. But let me tell you, because, you know, for me, Coco Chanel, it's about Coco. And as long as I see some bit of her left in the brand, there's very little left of her. But when it comes to leather, I think that Chanel has lost touch with all these price increases with big bags and big bag quality. Hobo bags and all that. You know, Chanel is not the brand to go to anymore if you want a big bag. It just isn't. Chanel has, throughout these years, with their price increases, they keep shrinking the bags so that they can still squeeze in that entry, for Chanel standards, entry level price level. So the bags are like, at a certain point, Quirky, we're going to need your magnifying glass to see the bag, not to see the texture. But it's like, well, where's the bag? $3,000. Quirky, you got a new bag. Hold on, you guys, let me unbox it.
They're all necklaces. They're all necklaces now.
Right? They're necklaces, exactly. Yeah. But having said that, me being the sucker that I am for this brand, I love the teeny tiny bags. So And also, they don't break as much because there's no pressure put on them. They fit nothing. So what are they going to break for? So I love the tiny ones. And I think I'm not done yet. Like what Jasleen said, what the real Shakeen said, you start with the black colors. I also do. Guilty as charged. Been there, done that. And now I want my colors. But my colors, I don't need them to be big.
Yes.
So I'm living my desire for these. Yeah, I made a mistake with the 22. Fine. Done deal. Over. But the little teeny tiny ones in leather, in caviar, in lambskin, in flashy colors, I love them because I have my big bag. I have my Vivienne Westwood huge hobo bags that are super sturdy, didn't cost an arm and a leg, and they carry the heavy duty stuff. And then I have my little Chanels that I accessorize together with the bigger bags that are not Chanel. I do have bigger Chanel. I have my Grand Shopping Tote extra large still, back from 2013 or 14, which is wonderful quality. But I mean, you know. But anyway, modern day Chanel, I will keep buying the smaller leather bags. Not wallets and stuff, because for me, Louis is better for wallets still, despite Louis' decay in quality. But on chain, little tiny baglets in flashy colors, I'm going to keep buying probably. That's
and smaller bags. I mean, you know, you can probably, the likelihood of you getting a better hide in a smaller piece is higher, right? Because you can get more bags out of a good quality hide versus getting a large piece for a larger bag. So that is also something to consider. Somebody keeps asking, and I didn't answer this question. We were talking about denim bags, and they just wanted to know what my my opinion is on the denim classic flaps that might be. I mean, I don't know if they're coming for sure. I just see it on Instagram, leaked photos, right, for next collection. And I love Dacob. I love your jumbo denim bag with the perfume bottles.
Oh, gorgeous. That thing is amazing, you guys. The embroidered perfume bottles on that denim. Oh my God. They really, really, really did a good job with that one.
And I know people, like, I mean, I used to be like this too, where in the beginning stages, I didn't want to spend that kind of money for a fabric bag, right? I didn't want to. But I'm starting to see, like I said, this price point with leather bags are not this price point. You can get a full leather bag for far less, for under $1,000. You can. So what makes me be the judge and say, well, denim's not worth it, right? Because leather's not worth it either. And I think denim looks beautiful, and I think people, denim is casual, right? It goes with everything. It's a beautiful neutral. And depending on the quality of denim, of course, right? And, you know, you don't want fabric that frays in pills, right? Like some denim is good quality. But now that I see one of my friends carrying her denim bag, I can see a purpose for it because, you know, you can take that into the rain and it'll be okay, right? So I think that it is worthwhile getting if you are a fan of the brand and this is a bag that you like and you like denim. I wouldn't mind a denim classic flap. Somebody want to give me one? I don't mind.
You got to be careful with Chanel's darker denims because they do transfer color onto other garments. And they do. I baby my jumbo denim. It's a navy dark denim. I never let it hang on the side of me and rub because the denim would rub. I mean, the blue would rub off and it would become very, very pale. I've seen that same bag that I have, people who have worn it for a bit, it looks terrible. And I love when denim ages, don't get me wrong, but like, really, if you buy Chanel dark indigo denim, there is a risk that if you keep rubbing it off your clothes, that it's going to lose patches of color here and there. So if you're going to go for Chanel denim, try the lighter denim colors, but then be very careful that your other clothes don't transfer color onto the denim. If you get the darker denim from Chanel, be careful that darker denim doesn't transfer its color on your lighter clothes.
And with fabric bags, they can be harder to repair. Like if you take it to a bag spa, they usually can't repair it.
No, bag spa not, but you take it to some tailor or somebody who does repairs with threads and they can like patch a hole,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Darning basically, yeah.
Right? I mean, sure.
Just don't. throw in the
Ladies, I
washing
want to thank
machine.
you so much for your time. I mean, I know we went like really overtime here, but it was like technical difficulties. That also makes us tired because like obviously with the difficulties of beginning everything, getting it all aligned, we spent together more than 2 hours, obviously, because we had the pre-moment, then we had the technical. But I hope you guys did not feel this as too heavy of a burden to be together all and talk about this.
Oh, not at all.
It was fun.
We had a good
No, because I
time.
know. What?
I think we had a good time.
Oh, yeah, no, I had a wonderful time. I just always, you know, you're all my guests, so I don't want anybody to feel like bad or something.
Quick, everybody say it's the worst.
It was very interesting. I feel like I learned a lot from all you guys. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, guys. I love spending time with you. And everybody out there, be sure to subscribe to the following YouTube channels. Following, but not limited to. Classics with a Quirk. Jessiestyle. Hello. The Real Shakeen. And, well, you know me. Dacob, you're already on my channel, so why didn't you push that subscribe button already? You're going to find all these lovely ladies' YouTube channel, links to their YouTube channels in the description box underneath this video, so be sure to subscribe to their channels. And also, do you want to share with us any other social media that our viewers should follow you on? Quirky.
Classes with a Quirk Instagram.
Alrighty. Jessie?
My Instagram is _Jessiestyle.
And The Real Shakeen?
Yeah, Instagram is the same, The Real Shakeen, just like on YouTube.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Big kisses to all of y'alls. Oh, and let's pose just for a second here to do a thumbnail moment, and then we're going to say goodbye. Okay, so everybody align. Love this one. So do we do shocked, happy? What do we do? What are we going for here?
Well, maybe I should hold the bag.
Oh,
Like
I like
horrified?
that. Quirky, the skeptical look. I love this, the skeptical look. Yeah. Jocelyn, and you hold the bag like that's a symbol. It's about the 22. Jessie's praying for better bags.
Okay.
And I love Quirky's like skepticism. I'm going to be skeptical
You made me
too.
look like a mean teacher in the thumbnail.
I love it. Wait, I'm going to be skeptical too with my eyebrows.
Get your crop, Dacob? Like you should maybe position me.
No, I'm not going to do Hermes here. Mm-mm. And also, wait, can shift a little bit, Jocelyn, so we see more the Chanel logo of the bag. Like you can, yeah. Underneath your face. Put the bag underneath. You know, you don't need to hold the chain. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. We could do that as well. I'm going to look at you, and then I'm going to look into the camera. Okay, I think we got it, you guys. Love it. Thank you so much. I love when we do thumbnail time together. It's so cute.
We should probably
Well,
before we get greasy and sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. At the end of my 8 or 10 hour live streams, I always look like a potato that's been oiled with olive oil.
So next time we do it before, when we're all like prim and nice, and then we can get all sweaty and greasy, and then
Yeah. Oh, Quirky, you want to take a photo? Take a photo. Should we do something?
I was taking a picture. There are a couple people asking about my cat, so I took a picture of her.
Oh.
She's very sleepy at this point. She's curled up like a little potato. Shrimp. Words. A cat. You know. So I figured I'd just like put it on Instagram for the people who cared.
Oh, so cute. Alrighty. What's the name of your cat?
Laptop.
Oh my God, adorable. So cute. I mean, that's a moment, you guys.
It delights everybody when I tell them that her name is Laptop. They're like, you, what? I'm like, yeah, that's her name.
That's amazing. I mean, living for it. Oh my God, Laptop. That's freaking awesome. Well, you guys, Laptop, Quirky, Jessie, Jocelyn, and Dacob are signing off. Lots of love to y'alls. Subscribe to all our channels and never forget to never give up on love. Bye.